Hello, everyone. Let's talk about culture shock of the American man. Now, as Americans, we all experience culture shock when we travel abroad. We see something that is maybe a little bit unusual to us. Maybe it's the way people speak. Maybe it's the way they convey ideas. Maybe it's the foods they eat, the religious practices or spiritual practices they have, or how they work within their familial or friend relationships. And there's a lot of different examples of that. One simple example I have, a lot of people see that Middle Eastern background and different backgrounds like this, also Russian, Ukrainian, sometimes when people are talking, they look like they're in an argument, but really they're just having a conversation. They're just using heightened voices, and maybe they're a little bit more animated. Some people are shocked by that. Some people think there's a lot of conflict going on when there's not. That's an example of culture shock because something is fundamentally different about how people communicate, dress, eat, think, go about their lives. We all experience it. Now, for the American man who's traveling abroad, finding an amazing Ukrainian girl, he may experience and might experience culture shock. Now, as we said, culture shock is, getting scared or frustrated with seeing people live differently in all those aspects I mentioned. And there's definitely going to be some challenges because, one, they may not be able to navigate everything as easily as they have in the US. There's going to be a language barrier. There may be different foods in Ukraine that they're not familiar with, and maybe we're a little shocked to try the cuisine. Some people like to eat foods and things they're only familiar with. There's also ways they deal with relationships, maybe being more traditional. And some people might, you know, not be as comfortable with that as possible. And that's fine. The thing you want to keep in mind is everybody experiences culture shock. Now, for all the men out there, if you truly love someone, after you've gone with all these Skype conversations, these Skype dates with them, you are definitely going to experience culture shock, but it shouldn't be something to worry about. See, when you experience culture shock, a lot of men might be asking the question, well, is that going to be too much to be with my special lady, to be with my Ukrainian girlfriend who I want to make my wife someday potentially? And what I would say is this, is to realize that all people in the world are just people. And when you look past the different cultures, the different religions, the different ideas, and all things like that, at the end of the day, we're just people. We all feel happiness, we all feel sadness, we all feel anger, frustration. We all have the same emotions. We convey things differently, of course, but we were all the same people. Fundamentally, if you can get past all of the cultural barriers, you can come down to the fact that we're all people. So a lot of American men, they're saying, okay, I'm experiencing all these cultural things. Maybe I'm not so into the food. Maybe I'm not so into the traditional values or the way they interact, but I really love this person. So you have to ask yourself, is that going to be the driving force? And if it is, you can overcome these cultural barriers. And maybe you're not going to like all of them, granted. Maybe you're not going to conform to all of them. But you can realize, you can come to fundamental realization that we're all just people. And we're all just trying to live. And maybe, just maybe, after you adopt that mindset, not only will you enjoy your time, but you'll start to love Ukraine so much you'll say, hey, maybe there are some things that are better about this than in Western society where I was in America or Canada or something like that. It's also possible when you overcome culture shock that you realize maybe some things about that culture are a little bit better. Maybe some things are working more efficiently. Maybe the family structure you'll find in Ukraine and other traditional places is better as opposed to some things in Western culture where it's super, super individualistic. Maybe the more community aspects of different places you'll start to love and you'll say, hey, This is something that I really, really love. I don't know if I could leave Ukraine because it's just so much more enjoyable to enjoy all these different facets of this culture. And it's so much different from my own, but I think I like some aspects a lot better. They work better for me. I like having more of the traditional family values, and I want to stay here. But maybe you don't. And maybe you're looking to marry her someday, to marry your special Ukrainian girlfriend. And just know, if you say, hey, I'm not going to stay in Ukraine, I'm going to bring her back to the United States, yes, you be expected that she's going to experience culture shock. Culture shock works both ways. A lot of people, what's familiar to them, they want others to be familiar with. The notion, and we have this notion in America and different places, that everybody wants to be like us or everybody is like us, isn't necessarily true. And while they may enjoy American media, American products, and some American, output and products, they're not always necessarily going to want to or be able to conform to the lifestyle. So realize your Ukrainian girlfriend could also experience culture shock like that. So what's one solution? It's getting past all of that stuff and realizing people are just people. Sometimes you have to work through cultures, and then at the end of the day, you can just come to the fact that we're all people. We all want to be happy. We all want the best for our lives and the best for our family. And hey, if you want a good TV show to watch, 90 Day Fiance could be good just to lighten the mood, make you laugh a little bit, and then help you get past some of these issues. So I hope this talk on getting over culture shock, what it is, the different possibilities that you can encounter, and how you can overcome it with specific mindsets, and just being cognizant of other people's differences helped. So I wish you the best of luck in your relationships and with your special Ukrainian lady.